Okay, this is going to be a very brief supplemental video. I'm not even reading anything directly, but in the book of Judges, we get this history, this line of Judges. It takes us from chapter 1 to chapter 16. And then we get these two stories tacked on the end. Chapter 17 and 18 is the story of what's called the Danite migration and the house of Micah setting up idol worship. In 19 through 21, we have an account of a just grotesque crime being committed in Benjamin, resulting in a massive civil war and almost the complete destruction of the tribe of Benjamin. These events are to show us, to illustrate Israel at its worst. We have the line of the Judges, and then we get these two events. These two events are not chronologically placed. It's not that we have all these good judges and then we have these two horrible events. These events are not chronologically placed. We do not know when they occurred within the history of the Judges. We just know that they did. And so these last 5 chapters, since I am trying to read in a chronological order, I am going to be going into chapter 17 through 21 next. I have read through chapter 12, which brings us up to the time of Samson. Samson is the last judge recorded in the book of Judges. He is contemporary to Samuel. In the first book of Samuel, we get the story of Samuel's birth, and Samuel, his rise to being judge, and eventually the reign of the kings. But the birth of Samuel would have been during the time that Samson was judge in Israel. Samuel's youth is when Samson was judge. But Samuel lived in Shiloh, which would have been in Manasseh, I believe. Might have been, no, Ephraim. Would have been in the tribe of Ephraim, right near the Jordan River. On the other hand, Samson was in Dan, west and south near the Philistines along the Mediterranean coast. Now, when these two stories that are recorded at the end of the book of Judges take place, as I say, we don't know when they happened. In the last chapter, we read chapter 12, we had a succession of 4 judges. We finished the story of Jephthah, who judged for 6 years. Then we had Ibzan and Abdon, and honestly, I cannot remember that third guy's name, so let me look him up, because it's annoying. Elon. Yeah. Ibzan, Elon, Abdon. Each one was judged for less than 10 years. It's during this time period that Samson is born. While these guys are judges, Samson is born and grows to adulthood. Probably born during the time of Elon. And, I mean, just Elon judged 10 years, and then Abdon judged 8 years. I don't know, he was probably born during the time of Ibzan, who judged 7 years. So near the end of Ibzan and beginning of Elon, Samson is born, and he grows to adulthood. And then we get the stories of him when he's an adult, which would have been near the end of the judgeship of Abdon, because Samson becomes the next judge. Which actually, he may have been born during the time of Jephthah, because he probably would have been around 30 years old when he was made judge. So, as I say, Judges is not written in a perfect chronological order. And so, I'm moving these last 5 chapters to the middle because they take place sometime before Samson. I do not, at least in my opinion, they take place sometime before Samson, at least before Samson is judge. Probably before Samson was born. And so I'm moving them over here. Now, we know the Danite thing takes place actually fairly early on in the Judges, because we read in the beginning of Judges that the tribe of Dan decided they didn't have enough land, and so they moved north and conquered some area in the north. And that might have actually been recorded in Joshua. I think it was in Judges. Anyways, so we know that actually takes place very early on. I'm putting them both here because we don't know exactly when they take place. And so I figured this was a good spot to put them. So that is where we're moving up in the next video. We're going to be going to the end of Judges chapter 17.